on our website called Expose of Los Angeles Animal Services. We found plenty of candidates. I placed one ad in the Pet Press. I'm the one who met with Tony Cardenas. That's why he did that. I have so much information on this program. I raised $30,000 by going to 26 neighborhood councils. I've gone to about 100 meetings for neighborhood councils. I've raised 30 grand for this program. In 5 years, I'm still working on it. Now we have no officers, and we keep hearing the same excuses, that there's no staff, there's nobody to do it. Because, Brenda, you're advertising on the same places, the city website and local. It's not where you're going to find candidates.
The people that you got to come to the class were staff. You didn't bring people from the community.
But Brenda, no, I have 15 emails right now of people who are interested in the raffle program from the Pet Press. They did. You didn't respond. We told you about this in the mayor's office. We went to the mayor. Wait. We went to the mayor's office. You knew all about this. You told the mayor's office you weren't going to do the RACO program. That's what you told them. If you want to get Joan Pellico in here from Councilmember Corretz's office, we'll get her here. You know what happened, Brenda. We want to go past this. We want a successful program. We don't want to get stuck on excuses.
I have a little problem with this
well,
because his facts are not
okay,
accurate.
just real quick. What is the status of the reserve animal officer?
If we have 15 qualified applicants, we have a training officer and we have the funding, and we'll be glad to do the class.
Okay. Very good.
Can we please respond to the applicants that have put in their application?
If they went to city personnel and if the city personnel read their applicants and they were complete, they would be sending them over to us.
No, they didn't. I sent the emails to Patricia Wheeler at the mayor's office. They said you did not respond. I called the line and asked to be reserved. They didn't respond to me.
City personnel.
I called.
All right.
He said she said, let's go. Let's move past
That's
this.
fine. Okay. Let's go ahead and thank Brenda for coming. Thank you very much, Brenda. If you have any additional questions, you can meet with Brenda in the back of the room. We have a 3-page agenda, and that was our first item. We spent almost 2 hours on public comment. Okay, I hope you don't mind. If you do have a question for Brenda, you could just...
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
There seems to be a disconnect between the job seeker and the job or volunteer, and that's endemic in our city, and it's compounding our jobless economy. Ma'am, is your program linked to Job Source or any of, because that might be a better avenue to try
I think it's a
to
volunteer program.
It is.
It's going through the city personnel as opposed to
Because that's what they have to do.
Nobody sees.
That's what they have
All
to do
right.
because of background checks.
Moving on.
So thank you very much, Brenda. Thank you very much for coming. All right, we are going to jump into the funding votes and get this part of the agenda done and through. I am going to turn over the gavel to Mr. Howard Benjamin. He is going to be handling the LAPD vote. Myself, Joseph, and Camby have to step out of the room because we volunteer for the LAPD and we legally cannot vote on this. So we will see you in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. So,
Okay.
Howard, you are in charge, sir.
Okay, next on the agenda is M, the VNNC to vote on the possible funding to remodel the ladies' locker room at the Van Nuys LA Police Department station. The funding would also cover the funding of the... Hey, please. We're calling for a vote. To reiterate, M on your agenda, the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council to vote on possibly fund the remodeling of the ladies' locker room at the Van Nuys neighborhood, or the Van Nuys LAPD station. The funding would also cover funding the room and gym equipment for the ladies of the department to maintain their overall health. It's not to exceed $2,500. Mr. Luna.
Is there going to be something that signifies that we're the contributors, like a plaque or something?
It has not been discussed. At this point,
Could that be part of the motion?
absolutely.
I move that we have a plaque or sign that indicates that a gift was given by the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council. And we move forward with the motion M.
Any other comments?
I have a question.
Certainly.
Doesn't LAPD have their own budget for improving their own facilities?
They do indeed. And unfortunately, they have exceeded their budget, and that's why they're asking us for the funds.
And how much funds do we have at this point?
At this point, we're probably looking at about $7 grand.
Thank you, Mr. Management. I think you've answered my question.
All right. The amount on the agenda is not to exceed $2,500. That amount can be modified.
1,500.
Ms. Skelton?
Could it be lowered anywhere from 500 to 1,000?
Absolutely.
Make a point of order. Did we not originally say that a while back that we wanted all of our agenda items to be like less than 1,000?
We did indeed.
Not to exceed 999?
They're asking for $2,500. It's up to us to either okay that amount or to lower that amount within our fiscal boundaries.
Do we have a specific amount that we want to lower it to?
Well, $999 is what we said that we did not want to fund anything over $999. Carino?
Is there any documentation in the costs and what they're going to do?
We know that they're going to improve the locker room. At present, the Van Nuys station does not have a gym for women only, for the female officers. The locker room is in a really bad state of repair. It just is deplorable.
Okay.
One second.
Is there any? They're telling us, but I think that they should show the.
They have not given us a fiscal breakdown of the expenditure.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Moraz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would hope that we all support this. 2,500 seems like a lot. This station is one of the oldest. It's in bad shape. And believe me, if you've ever been in there, it's not in good condition. So I just hope that I worked down there for many years. While you were out playing skip, I was in there for many years working as a volunteer, supervising over 2,500, so I know what I'm talking about. So I hope that you'll support. Also, remember the Jeopardy program came here. They have leaks in their roof, etc. And I hope that we help them because that's the kids' program.
Any comment?
Mr. Anand?
Why is there no, I just make a point that there's no one from PD here to actually discuss this issue, which I find a bit concerning. Usually when they're asking for something, they should have some representative to at least explain what it is they're asking.
Table it?
They were there at the executive meeting, and frankly,
No, they weren't.
No, they weren't.
oh, that's right,
They did not
No, it
attend
was
the
before that.
executive.
Sorry. 'Cause
They
I talked
simply,
about it
they
before that.
simply, they gave a funding request that was agendized at the executive board meeting.
Yeah,
But
I see.
at this point in time, we do not know, is it for tile? Is it for benches? Is it for weight room? We don't know. We simply don't know.
I would recommend, personally, at a point of order, I would recommend that we table this issue until they have an opportunity to present, at least at the executive, if not at the general meeting.
Consensus?
I have the packet.
Does the packet,
But
are
I
there
think he makes a
specifics in
really
the
good
packet?
point, though.
It's,
Personal request should be.
It's
it's,
a really good point.
no, they put it the same way as what you just described, but they had everything except for the cover page, which is the new cover page. Okay. Oh crap, I had it. Now what I do with it? Don't tell me I didn't bring it. Hold on, I got CSUNs. Humidity, drug and alcohol, oh, and
I understand. I feel you.
Okay.
It's in my bag, but I do have.
All right, we gotta move on.
The only thing
We've
they
got
didn't
a
have
full
was
agenda
that-
tonight. Certainly.
I apologize since I'm new, I don't know how familiar you all may be, total whizzes with it and maybe not, but we have a control panel LA system whereby our city controller puts up all the expenses paid and all the revenue brought in. Is everyone familiar with control panel LA?
Yes.
LAPD salaries eat up a ton, and our city is in bad shape as it is. I'm all for the ladies having equal facilities to the guys and to the dudes. I just don't feel that it's the purview of a neighborhood council when that agency already takes such a big chunk of city funds as it is. I couldn't in good conscience approve it, even though I'm all for equality and everyone having what they need. I just feel like they haven't taken the time to present something valuable for our time, and they already have, as far as the budget goes, allocated so much that this isn't really an issue that a neighborhood council should be addressing, especially with $7,000 in funds.
Yeah. As a point of information, I believe that it's 70% of the annual budget of the city of Los Angeles goes to fire and police
and fire.
and pension fund. So,
I had a thought. What if we just table this till next month and invite somebody to speak on it?
show of hands?
Make sense?
All right. Consensus tabled. All right. Jerry, please ask George to return. We're going to move on to, I believe, item number I, if I'm not mistaken. Item was tabled.
I heard. You're not allowed to make it.
What happened to B after D?
We're going to go down the list.
All right, we have one more funding vote, and then we will just start going down the list on the agenda. All right, Sandy Logan, this is going to be your 8L, the VNNC to vote on and possibly fund a toolkit to show parents what drugs look like and how they can recognize them. The funding would also cover a sample box and printed materials for distribution, the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, and its affiliate networks is a voluntary health organization dedicated to fighting the nation's #1 health problem. Sandy, you have the floor. You were asking for $1,000, right?
Right, yes.
And the paperwork's good, Miss?
Yes, she has everything.
Good work.
It's an opportunity for us to go out into the community and show parents the different kinds of drugs that are going on right now with our kids. Sadly to say that drugs and alcohol are all around our kids all the time. They know more stuff going on than we do. So our parents need to be educated and not be afraid of the subject of drugs and alcohol. We need to talk to our kids. This is an opportunity for us to get out there and talk to our parents, give them all the tools they need to go back and talk to their kids. This kit will have a design, it's like a display case, and then we have different drugs that are happening right now, different nicknames that are going on, so that they can be hip on what's going on with their kids.
Any questions for Miss Logan? Let's go start at the end. Miss Skelton.
Not a question for the statement. I mean, this is good for parents and stuff because there's a lot of stuff that you can learn from this young lady in her class and stuff that she puts on. Because even the lollipops that you think that your kids are just sucking on a sucker, that's a drug stick. That is loaded with drugs. And you're just thinking, oh, my kid must have a sugar tooth. So if you can learn as much as you can from this young lady on the drugs and alcohol, it will be wise to at least get their business card and try to connect with them to learn something.
Thank you. Mr. Luna.
You said $1,000?
Correct.
Are you buying the actual drugs?
No, it's a drug kit. The kit costs roughly about $650, almost $700 with taxes and all. I gave Ms. Hobbs a copy of the last invoice, of another organization that bought the exact same kit. So I think it's like close to $700 for that, and the rest is printing materials.
Got it. So just one last follow-up question. Is there that big of a educational benefit to doing this kit versus saying creating a book of pictures?
Yeah, because of actual
Hands-on.
items that kids are using, for example, tools that they create to smoke pot, devices that they use. I mean, for example, one of the things that we talk to our parents about is even apples. The kids, you send them home, you send them to school with an apple in their lunchbox, and they drill holes in them and are using them to smoke out of.
Apple a day, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't work out the exact way, but soda cans, books, they create, hiding places in their own homes. And one of the things the police officers always tell them is that you have a bookshelf and all of a sudden, everything else is dusty besides this one spot on this book. You need to check that book out. An opportunity. They carved out the books, they glue them together, and they create hiding places right there inside their own room.
Would we have like a little plaque or something? Like, I'm assuming this is going to be a stationary thing.
No, it's going to be mobile.
It's going to be mobile?
Yeah, because I
Okay.
cover the Santa Cruz and the Van Nuys area.
How big of a case? How big of a case?
Probably it's like a suitcase, maybe like that, maybe that high.
Would there be a place for like a small, almost like a nameplate that says donated by the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council?
I would love to get one.
They're inexpensive, you just stick it on.
Yeah, not a problem.
Mr. Robbins, did you have a question, sir?
Nope, he answered, or she answered his.
Yeah,
Very
I
good.
have no problem. I have no problem giving
Maddie.
credit to words too.
I have the great pleasure of just informing the audience that a few months ago, has it been a couple of months now? These ladies attended a library pilot program that Van Nuys Library is part of, spearheading. They asked great questions, they participated, there weren't a lot of us in the room. You ladies rocked, and it's just really great what you do. And since I was at that meeting and these folks weren't, I'd like to use whatever pulled from this chair to give them a plug.
Very good.
We like them.
Any other questions for Ms. Logan? Any discussion, debate?
In the class, are you teaching drug lingo to the parents?
Yeah, we actually have fact cards. And I can bring some next time, and different fact cards that all the nicknames that kids are using. Yes. Where are these classes?
Okay.
Actually at the schools. Like for example, we teach at Fulton High School, so we teach 4 classes there, and I do the parent presentations there. I also do Santa Cruz, so I do Golden Valley, and I also teach for the school district.
And she has her community get-togethers, to which I had attended a number before I was injured.
Yeah.
So she actually has the community meetings at her facilities also.
Next time, can you put
You
a
also
flyer
think Charles is
with a
funded.
list of, like, example, the next 2 or 3 months of where you want to be at, so that way we can go and pop in and listen?
Yeah, I don't have a problem inviting you to a presentation. My only thing, if I'm teaching at a school, it's not open to the public. It's open for parents only. But we put on presentations. I can put one on here at any time if you guys want.
Well, that would be nice.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Call for the question.
Very good. With that, I call for the question, Mr. Secretary. I make a motion that we adopt the language in 8L as is and vote to fund $1,000 to Sandy Logan's organization. Do I have a second?
Second.
Very good. I call for the vote, Mr. Secretary.
President Thomas.
Yes.
Vice President Benjamin.
Yes.
Secretary Hendry, aye. Treasurer Hop.
Aye.
Mr. Lazarevic.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Ms. Skelton.
Are we gonna get in trouble because it's not 99999?
I changed it to 999 on mine.
Okay, yes for her.
That was a yes, okay. Mr. Camara.
Yes.
Mr. Anand.
Aye.
Mr. De La Cuesta.
Yes.
Ms. Patton.
Yes.
Mr. Lynn.
Yes.
Mr. Luna.
Yes.
Mr. Marabi.
Yes.
Ms. Raines.
Yes.
Mr. Robbins.
Yes.
Mr. Knoll.
Yes.
Mr. Knoll can't vote.
Until they're done being trained.
Yes,
Yeah,
you're right.
so we've
No,
got
They can
all
vote
of them.
present or.
Ms.
It passes.
Estes.
I've got Austin, aye.
She can't either.
Okay,
Well, okay.
put them down as present or
Certificate.
an abstention.
Yeah, she has to take the training.
So the motion passes.
Oh, boy, it
Very
sure
good,
did.
thank you, ladies. All right, you guys, let's just go right down the list and start hammering these
16.
out. 8B, the VNNC to consider adopting and annexing a certain portion of the Mid-Valley and make it Van Nuys Neighborhood Council territory and under the jurisdiction of the VNNC. Mr. Wilkinson with the Panorama City Neighborhood Council. Always good to us, our good neighbor. Back from Santa Barbara, I saw the family photo. Good to see you. Your son looks like you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm glad that a lot of us really discovered and care about the folks who live north of Norms, between there and the railroad tracks.
Hi, guys.
Awesome. Because, you know, in Panorama City, we look kind of like with horror, saying, my gosh, I don't belong to any neighborhood council. So I did want to everybody know that Panorama City had actually put on there, we have a 30-day notice also for our neighborhood council to try and adopt you guys. So, and you might say, well, gee, we saw them adopt our slogan, and so we came down and tried to steal a piece of Van Nuys. But it didn't really happen that way. It happened because we were really concerned about anybody who doesn't have a neighborhood council to represent them. So I would suggest that maybe, since we've already started this process and you're starting the process, and we actually get along fine, we're just partnering on a
the Woodman Walls and a few other things.
That maybe the thing to do would be for us to both go together and adopt our bylaws changes, because they will have to go, in either case, to the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners.
Sure.
And then we will have, you know, it gives the opportunity for the people who live in that area to look at both neighborhood councils and make your own choice and show up at the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners.
join us? Will there be coffee?
Our meetings.
Oh, they're way too much fun for us. We prefer roasting people.
No, but you see what I'm saying? I don't think this is a hostile situation. I think it's that both our councils really are concerned, and we think it should be up to you. So my proposal would be, we're probably going to go ahead in Panorama City. I hope we go ahead here in Van Nuys. And this is not really about one council versus another. It's to make certain that the options are there for the people who live there to make their own choice.
Well, let's hear from this unrepresented group of...
I just have
what do you guys write on your envelopes? Are you Van Nuys?
Well, Len, we want you.
Tony, back off.
We want you. Hey, Len, you know. Sorry, Len.
All right, well. Yes, ma'am, let's hear from this nice gentle
I
lady.
would just like to know, we didn't even know that there was this situation coming up for a vote until we got a letter from Mr. De La Cuesta.
Yeah.
That's
He does a fine job. Yes.
So,
He was doing outreach.
So how would we have been able to make this decision if we didn't even know it was happening?
Actually, what we had planned on doing is canvassing the area, actually walking the area, knocking on doors, and start talking with people. That was our plan.
We were going to canvass the area. But
There's a protocol that we have to.
We don't belong to anybody.
No.
Would you like to belong to
Most of
somebody?
us have lived there for well over 20 years, and we don't have any.
Would you like to join us?
Only if you pave our street.
Let's work on that.
We have no street.
All right, once again, it's way too much fun for these council meetings.
They paved all the streets around us, and we're sitting this little tiny street, one part of Valerio Street, which is 1 block long. They don't do us, they don't even belong to you, we don't belong to you.
26
years.
Well,
George.
Yes, sir.
George.
Yes, Miss Hopp.
Okay, we just got our esteemed CD6 representative, Nuys Martinez, reelected in a landslide election win, I might add.
Yes.
And she actually is very friendly with our council. And we had an item on street repairs sent out, and you spearheaded that, boss. So there were some areas they were asking that they wanted to do first, mainly the ones with the biggest potholes and what have you. But since you guys were unrepresented, and since you're interested, we hope, in joining us, and since we know she likes us a lot, we might be able to pull some strings and help you get that done a little quicker.
Would you speak?
Let's hear from Glenn Bailey, and then yes, Mr. Bailey.
So I agree, it should be up to the folks who live there.
But I do want to say that there were a process when we were looking at the organization of neighborhood councils several years ago. It was a plan review committee that I served on, Tony was on it, and part of that process included the issue of orphan areas. And there was a presentation made to us by the department, including this orphan area, as well as another one just to the south at Sherman Oaks.
We'll take this one too.
And I didn't hear you, but it's okay, you can. And it was explained to us that, I know that was the past, but it was explained to us that neither Panorama City nor Greater Valley Glen, and that the previous Van Nuys Neighborhood Council had rejected the area. It was also told to us that by previous, I mean probably several terms ago, and that the newly formed North Hollywood West Neighborhood Council, when they formed, they were, I don't know if the word urged is the right word, but they were asked, would you please consider taking this area in as you formed your new neighborhood council? And they said, because of the wash, that they felt that that was an impediment to a neighborhood cohesiveness, and they declined. So when I heard that you became aware, and that's kind of where it was left, we in the plan review and thought the department was pursuing this, and by pursuing it, I meant I would have thought communicated to the different parties, because obviously people change on the neighborhood councils. So the fact that when you had your planning and land use committee dealing with a case on Woodman to find out it was on the opposite side of the street that was not in your neighborhood council, and that was the first time it became aware, it was frankly disappointing to me that there wasn't communication by the parties that were supposed to be charged with getting these orphan areas adopted. So anyway, that's bring us to this point. Certainly the door-to-door outreach, I don't know if you reached every household or not.
We haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
We're voting as far as.
just started. Yeah. So unfortunately, the bylaw deadline is May 1st. And when you fill out the application, I've been through this with another area, although it wasn't an orphan area, it was an area going between two neighborhood councils. And that required an action of both neighborhood councils. My understanding is for the orphan area, it requires only the action of the one neighborhood council asking for it, or in this case, it may be if two neighborhood councils are asking for it. But you have to take action by May 1st, and you have to submit your boundary adjustment application form and your bylaw amendment form by that May 1st date. After that, it will be scheduled before the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, and if there's more than one neighborhood council interested in the area, then they'll have to sort that out, between the competing applications. But that's your time frame. They do look at outreach. So as I mentioned to a few of you previously, getting that at least flyers on the door. Maybe you can sign up some volunteers here to help you with, so it's not a burden on any, one council member. Volunteers in the community, you could print them and just have them distribute them to every address within the area and help you out there. And then if you took action at your, I don't know if you require 2 readings to amend your bylaws or not, but then at your April meeting, you could take action and then get it submitted by the May 1st deadline. Yeah, if that's what you choose to do.
So, as a point of information, our Government Relations Committee did meet prior to the general meeting, the executive meeting, and did put a vote essentially to go ahead and move forward with this, and that's what we're bringing to the general meeting to make the amendment to the bylaw.
Yeah, it's already passed the Government Affairs Committee.
That, as you were saying, the two meeting step, the first one's already been passed.
No, what I'm referring, some neighborhood councils require a first reading at the first board meeting and then a second reading at the next board meeting. That's what I was referring to.
No,
Yeah.
the executive.
It's only some of the neighborhood councils, so I can look up your bylaws, but you may only have, put it on the agenda and then vote. But I just want to stress, when it goes to the commission, how important the outreach, you're going to be asked about. In fact, in the application for the boundary adjustment, asked you to document your outreach. I can't stress how important that is for you to do that right away. I mean, if you're going to vote tonight, great, but you still need to do the outreach, I think, so you can document that if you want to bring it back in April to have a second
At our executive board meeting, Lynn was there, and he indicated that there were a number of steps that we had to do prior to outreach. Besides the vote, and there, I mean, he said there were a number of things that we had to do in order to annex this area, or propose to annex
Well, you
this
fill
area.
out the application form with all that data and everything. Hopefully Amber's giving that information to you. But
No, she isn't.
She wasn't mean, she said.
Candido.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I may, you have two councils trying to get you on their side. They both have the same amount of money, 45,000. I believe Van Nuys is bigger than Panorama. How much money is being used within those areas? You have to look at how much it goes to you folks. And again, you're not losing on each side. The neighborhood councils are great. I've worked with there's a family that were in your area, the Barkeys. I don't know if they're still there for many years. I used to do a lot of the cleanups in that area. But again, Paul Kokorian is one of the finest councilmen. And yes, the incumbent in the 6th district has the lead, but it's not over. So again, Paul Kokorian is a great gentleman. I hope you work with him.
I know
Tony.
I've spoken.
Yes, sir.
I do have your bylaws, and the reference to a section 6.2 is nowhere to be found in them. However, the bylaws are very clear that you need to agendize the meeting at which you're going to take a vote 30 days before you take the vote.